Okay, welcome back. So now we are uh, going to install Visual Studio, and then and then the SQL SSDT tool. Okay, this is to have Visual Studio with SSIS, which is integration services, SSAS with analysis services, and then the reporting services, right? So we are going to install all the three components, and for running these, working on these three components, we need Visual Studio. Okay, so to get Visual Studio installed, what we have to do, we have to go and click on Install SQL Server Data Tools, which is here. Okay, so let's click on this, and this is going to take us to a website, Microsoft website, where we will get the setup for Visual Studio 2022. So as you know, we are setting up the server, SQL Server and Visual Studio of the same version, which is 2022. So here we have the download link. So if you already have a Visual Studio 2022 installed, then you can skip, you can click on this, or else if you don't have, you can go and install Visual Studio 2022 on your machine. Okay, so I'm going to click on this link, and then you will be given a lot of options over here. So you can either go with Community Edition, Professional Edition, or Enterprise Edition. Right now, we will be installing Community, which is free to download, and this is what we are going to use for our educational purpose, right? We are not going to download Professional or Enterprise Edition. The Enterprise Edition is basically it's a paid version, and Professional is also a paid version, right? But what we are going to install will be the free download. Okay, so then we are going to click on this, and once we click on Visual Studio Community Edition, it's going to download this installer. As you can see, it is downloaded now. So I'm going to click on this open file. This is going to launch the wizard for setting up our Visual Studio. So let's see how it works now. Okay, so now we get this window pop up. Just click on continue, and let's wait for it to complete. Okay, so this is the screen what we are going to get after Visual Studio gets installed on our machine. Now we have to choose what components we need to install along with Visual Studio. Here you will get a lot of options to select, but again, as I said, we are only going to install the required components, which is SSDT tool or the SSDT data processing tool. So right now I'm going to uncheck ASP.NET and web development because I'm not going to develop any software or website. So I'm just unchecking this. Azure development, I believe we will uncheck this as well because we are not going to work with Azure now. What exactly we need is we have to scroll down and come to the data storage and processing option. Okay, so this is what we have to install. Just check, and further you will see there will three sub options which will be checked in automatically, and we will go with that same option, right? And you can see what is the total space it is going to take is somewhere around 4.53 GBs. Okay, so the more options you select from here, the more GB it is going to consume in your on your machine. So if you have limited space, then you will have to be careful, while installing Visual Studio. So now I'm going to go and click on install, and this is going to download Visual Studio Community Edition on my machine, and then it is going to set up the SSDT options as well. So here it will take some time. So what I will do is I will just go and pause it, and then I will restart the video after it's almost ready to complete. Okay, so see you then. Again, welcome back. So, see, we have almost installed Visual Studio Community Edition, and you can see that I'm going to get a login screen. Well, we don't need to log in here, so we just go and click on skip this for now. Okay, and then we need to select any um, theme. Ideally I will go with a blue theme only. The default now they have made it as a dark, but I'm going to use a blue theme, and then we are going to start Visual Studio. Okay, so we have installed Visual Studio. What's remaining now is now we have to set up our integration services to the Visual Studio, so that we can start creating our SSIS package. For that we need to go and open a Visual Studio, and since this will be the first time we are opening Visual Studio, we will not see any existing projects over here. What we will do for now is, since we are going to set up our integration services for the Visual Studio, we will go and click on continue without code. Okay, and then once the screen pops up, we are going to go to the extension menu, go to manage extension, and look for integration services. So go in the search option and type integration services, and the moment you will type integration, you will see this one, SQL Server Integration Server Services project. So you just click on download, that's it. So again it will take us to the web page, and it will try to download the setup file. Once the setup file gets downloaded, we are going to run the setup. Is ready to be installed, so we are going to click on open file now, and this will launch setup integration setup for us. So let's see what happens now. We'll close this. We just need to set up our integration services. It takes time to load. So now we got an integration services setup wizard. We are going to click on OK. So it's going to provide us again a wizard screen. Just keep on clicking next and install then. So it's asking me to close Visual Studio because it needs some files to be installed, which will not allow when the Visual Studio is open. So I'm going to go and close my Visual Studio. I don't need that. Okay, even I'm going to close the installer as well. So now I will click OK and try to install it again. Installed integration service project. So it is asking for restart. You can go and restart your system after this. Okay. I'm just going to close. I'm not going to restart. Okay. Because I need to install other services. So I will just close it for now. So this also I will cancel it. So we'll go back to the setup option. Okay, we need to open Visual Studio again because I'm still left with analysis services and reporting services. So I'm going to go and open Visual Studio again. So Visual Studio, I will have to type over here, Visual Studio 22 app. Okay, and it will be good if we can, link, put it, pin it to the taskbar so that, I don't have to again go and search for Visual Studio. So we can open it directly from here. Okay. Again, I'm going to do the same, continue without code, because we are still not going to start coding, right? So we will just go and set up our features here. So again, I will go to manage extension, and this time I'm going to look for analysis services. So analysis we have to type, and it is going to search for analysis services for us. Now you can see here Microsoft Analysis Services project. Okay, so this is what we are going to set up now. So we'll just click on it. Again, it is going to download the analysis services tool. So we'll wait for the download to complete. So once the download is completed, we are going to install analysis services as well. So waiting for the download to complete. Okay, done. I'm going to click on open file now. So this is going to launch setup wizard. Again, I believe we can close our Visual Studio. That's not needed now. Let it install. Otherwise, again, we'll get an error to close Visual Studio. Again, I'm going to pause it for now because it will take some time, and when the setup is done, I will come back and we'll close. We'll install the last option, which is reporting services. So here we go to install. So we are going to install it, and then again it is going to take some time. So again, I will pause for it to and wait for it to complete. Analysis services setup is also complete, as you can see, and then we can close this window. Right now we are left with the last option to be installed in Visual Studio, which is reporting services. So again, we are going to launch Visual Studio. Again, we'll follow the same step. We are going to click on continue without code, and then we will go to extensions, manage extensions. Okay, and then we will look for reporting services. Okay, so just type reporting, and then it should bring you the last option which we are going to install, which is reporting services. I'm going to click on download. And then I click on open file so that the setup will launch, and then I'm going to close Visual Studio again, and then let installer run. So again, I'm going to pause and we'll come back after the setup is complete. We are going to run the setup for this reporting services and wait for this setup to complete. Setup now, so we have all installed all the three components, right? And now to verify whether we have installed all the components correct or not, we can go to Visual Studio, and we'll try to create one new project using integration services just to check whether integration services is already installed with Visual Studio or not. Let's see how it shows up. So here we are on the Visual Studio welcome screen. We are going to create a new project by clicking on the create new project option over here. And then we are going to search for integration services, which we have already installed in Visual Studio. So integration, the moment we type, you can see all the integration services. So here for our module, we are going to go with integration services project option, and we can just click on this, and this is going to create a project for us. Okay, so this confirms that our setup has been done successfully. So that's it for this module. See you in the next setup, which will be on setting up our reporting services server, right? So that will be our next video. So looking back or looking forward to see you again. Thank you.